This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 381. Katniss shows us that sometimes sacrifice is necessary. Part 1 by Steve Kamb of nerdfitness.com. And I'm Dr. Neil. Hello, wishing you a very happy new year. Welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, where I act as your narrator of the best health and fitness blogs, all for free. We cover nutrition, fitness, stress management, weight management, and more. Just like an audiobook, but from a bunch of different authors. And then on Fridays, I answer your questions right here on the show. So again, wishing you a very happy new year. Glad you're starting off your new year right with us here at the old podcast family. I know it's high time to set those New Year's resolutions, and really throughout the year, I actually discuss how to be successful in reaching those resolutions that you may have set for yourself. And so if you're looking for help with something like that, you're definitely in the right place. Before I get to today's post, let's start the new year off right with a quote from the great Abraham Lincoln. Quote, "People are about as happy as they make their minds up to be." End quote. This past fall quarter, I just finished teaching a stress management class where really the theme is exactly that. When it comes to stress management, happiness, really you name it, it's really all about your perception. Really, our minds tend to get in the way. And again, for those of you that are new here, these are just some of the topics I discuss throughout the year on this show. All right, that's enough out of me for now. Let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Katniss shows us that sometimes sacrifice is necessary. Part 1 by Steve Kamb of nerdfitness.com. Quote, I volunteer as tribute. Katniss Everdeen. Few moments in popular contemporary literature conjure up as much emotion as the monumental scene in The Hunger Games, in which the Capitol selects which children will fight each other to the death. It's at this moment that we learn just what kind of hero the protagonist, Katniss Everdeen, will be, as she volunteers, almost certainly signing her own death sentence to save the life of her sister. I remember reading those pages, and my jaw dropped as I realized the gravity of Katniss' sacrifice. A close look at our favorite films and books revealed that great sacrifice is often required of the hero to bring about lasting change. Darth Vader at the end of The Return of the Jedi, Captain America at the end of The First Avenger, Optimus Prime in Transformers, the movie, the animated 1986 version, Iron Man in the climax of The Avengers, and Harry Potter toward the end of his 7-novel journey. Our heroes are often faced with a choice that will decide the fate of thousands or millions, requiring them to sacrifice everything they hold dear, including at times their own lives. Other times, like with Katniss, a single decision made now can have drastic consequences many years down the road. And while nobody is asking you to lay down your life here, make no mistake, if you truly want to make lasting changes in your life and turn things around, sacrifices will be required of you too. It might require putting short-term gratification on hold and sacrificing certain comforts in order for you to grow. It might mean saying painful goodbyes to long-term friends or relationships, or things that have provided us with joy in the past, but no longer bring us happiness, meaning, or support. Sometimes these sacrifices are painful, and that's why today I'm going to walk you through how to let go of the right things to level up your life. Make your cause bigger than you. In The Hunger Games, we never would have witnessed Katniss' potential for true greatness if she hadn't volunteered to take her sister's place in the tournament. In fact, this is true of nearly all of our favorite heroes. These sacrifices are necessary in order to see our heroes transform. In this game, or movie, of life you're playing, there is a kick-ass version of you waiting to level up too. I believe this of everybody. But I also believe that very few people live up to their potential. Socrates, the OG nerd, once said, quote, "It is a shame for man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." End quote. Most people are either unwilling or unable to make the decisions and choices required of them, or they're afraid of stepping outside a comfortable but unfulfilling existence to take a risk at finding out what could be. They get stuck saying what if, or they let temporary discomfort or friction get in the way of true happiness or a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. It's not easy either, letting go of those things that are holding us back, limiting our long-term fulfillment, but providing us with temporary satisfaction. It may be old friends, old habits, old eating styles, old game favorites, old relationships, or old occupations. It can be hugely powerful to see how these sacrifices, no matter how small they might be, fit into a bigger purpose. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Harry finally realizes what is required of him in order to defeat the Dark Lord, he marches into the Forbidden Forest to face the Death Eaters alone, except that he's not alone. He's surrounded by the ghosts of those who loved him, cared for him, and were impacted by his life. They give him the courage to carry on, even when all hope seems lost. Harry's scared out of his mind, but he knows what's at stake. One look at Katniss's face as she approaches the stage to volunteer tells us the same story. These are two characters who are terrified, but they are fighting for something far greater than themselves. If you are surrounded by people or have that voice on your shoulder saying, "Come on, live a little, what's this one time?" try looking at things in a larger context. The fight is larger than saying no to pizza or skipping a night of drinking to work on a project that makes you feel alive. It goes much deeper than that. Every action is tied to the story and life you are building for yourself. It's not about the pizza. It's about creating a life that's worth living. It's about setting yourself on a path that's true to you. It's about finding out what you're capable of and not saying, "What if?" It's about building a life designed for you, not designed based on expectations or social standards. Are you fighting to get healthy so that you can feel confident in your own skin, find love, and start a family of your own? Are you fighting to feel alive for the first time in years? Are you honoring your fellow nerds and those that came before you to find out what you're capable of? What will you volunteer as tribute? Want to know what separates the "I'll get to it someday" people versus the people on their own adventurous path? The ability to say yes to the right opportunities and no to the wrong ones, especially a willingness to sacrifice certain immediate comforts. I hope none of us are ever faced with true life or death choices like those faced by Katniss and Harry, but in a sense, we all are. We are faced with 1,000 decisions every week, each one placing us one step closer to a life stuck in Act 1 or a transforming life that grows and evolves. If you're going to become your leveled up self, it may take a serious, hard look at things that need to be sacrificed. Like, 1, unhealthy relationships. It's tough to admit when the attitudes expressed by our old friends or love interests might no longer align with our new lifestyle. These are, for example, friends who make fun of you for going to bed early so you can run a race or work out in the morning, or the boyfriend or girlfriend who constantly tells you to stop worrying about improving your health even though it's really important to you, or family members who tell you to shut up and be happy instead of striving for a life they think is unrealistic, irresponsible, or unattainable. Sometimes you need to fire your friends and even fire certain family members if they're proving to be truly destructive to your growth. I've had to sacrifice certain relationships until I was more sure of myself and better prepared to not be swayed by their opinions. It's painful and difficult, but if these people aren't ready or willing to change, they can drag you down with them. Life will go on, and you'll find that there are plenty of forward-thinking people out there who will support and celebrate your new path in life. Off the top of my head, I could think of a few 100,000 rebels who would love to aid you. 2. Hear that on tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, "Katniss Shows Us That Sometimes Sacrifice is Necessary" by Steve Kamb of nerdfitness.com. I've said this many times on this show. We are social beings, and therefore we are very much influenced by those that we hang out with, whether it be family or friends. And as Steve mentioned, it is very unfortunate that these family and friends can slow us down. They can discourage us. They might make us feel badly about trying to achieve our healthiest bodies and healthiest minds. I've experienced this myself. Now, it's true that because our brain is a very interesting filter, we have our own kind of predispositions and thoughts about how we're interpreting what they're saying to us. What I always recommend is you let your friends and family know that this is what you're trying to achieve. Let them in on your path. Make it clear to them. So before you think about, firing your friends or family members, be sure that they really understand what's going on. Have them tell you what they feel about that, how they feel about your journey and your goals. Have an open discussion with them, because you want to make sure that your impressions of how they feel about you and your goals is clear, that you're not just making judgment calls based on your own reality and your own perception. And then give them a little time to come around. Don't expect them to be like, oh, great, yeah, I fully support you right now. Give them some time. Change is not only difficult for us, for those of us trying to change our habits, but it's difficult for those watching us change our habits. So give them a little compassion. Think about them too. But if they continue to hold you down after weeks and months and years of you pursuing your goals, then it may be time to consider hanging out with them less often. Maybe not completely cut them out of your lives, but if they're holding you back, maybe spend a little less time with them. But as Steve mentioned, I truly hope that this isn't the case for most of your friends and family. Now, before I go, don't forget we have 4 other podcasts where we narrate blogs for you, covering a bunch of different topics. So to subscribe to those, just search for Optimal Living Daily wherever you're hearing this show. And actually this week, to celebrate New Year's and 750 episodes, Optimal Living Daily is having guest narrators, so make sure to check that out. Thank you in advance for doing that. Thank you for being here every day. I hope you have a great rest of your New Year's Day. Enjoy it, and I will be back here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this show and Optimal Living Daily, the brother podcast of this one. Literally, I'm Dr. Neil's brother. If you like the format of this show, you'll love Optimal Living Daily too, where I also read to you from blogs, but cover other topics like personal development, finance, and minimalism from bloggers like Derek Sivers, The Minimalists, Zen Habits, and many more. So for more amazing content read to you for free, come subscribe to Optimal Living Daily too, and together we'll optimize your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Health Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's oldpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.